Man United podcast with Bids and Monty.
Good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are. We just spoke with our therapist, the podcast therapist. She joined the team. She joined the team quite a few months ago, and we finally got her in for an episode. We spoke about our top things that we spoke about during the podcast journey. There's some really juicy gossip in here. We brought the juice. Before we get in this episode, please subscribe, like, and please share with your friends. They might gain some good knowledge from this, or they might just need that extra support. So, without any more nonsense, bullshit talking from me, enjoy the episode. And good afternoon, Karina.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I nearly said good morning then.
But no, it's 3:20.
Yeah, I think we're used to doing them in the morning, haven't we?
Yeah. so to be fair, I've done quite a lot this morning. We've sorted the loft out because we're planning a move soon. So the loft, I don't know if you can agree, but that's the worst place in a house. It's where you just put things and forget about them.
Ours is the cellar.
The cellar.
Yeah.
See? The cellar. So the wife went up yesterday, sorted. There's so many toys, teddies, clothes, old kids' clothes. So we've donated them to charity. We've given all the toys to a local nursery. That's all been done this morning.
Wow, busy morning.
Now you've given me some ideas, bro.
Go on then.
I was thinking what to do with Nico's things, and I was thinking, do we need to bin all these things?
What are
they?
What are the clothes? Clothes or toys?
Both, bro.
Yeah, man. Just ring up the local nursery or see if the nursery where he goes to wants them.
Yeah, might do that.
Yeah, or childminders always love toys, you know.
Yeah.
Local childminders. That's where we went this morning.
Might do that, man. Might do that.
Helped them out.
Good idea.
Yeah. So this is the first time. Well, not the first time you've been on, because you were actually on. I think it was round about the 28th of September last year.
Which is episode number 4.
Yeah.
Oh, and what have you just done?
34 now. Well,
no.
this will be 35.
My goodness. So I was number 4.
Yeah, the big 4.
Oh.
Big 4.
Big 4.
Wow.
What's the journey been?
Yes. We invited you to join the podcast crew.
Yay.
Because it's always good, because our knowledge is only really limited to what we've been through, but it's always good to have that professional experience. I thought, let's get her involved.
I was very honoured. Thank you so much for asking me.
Anytime. I think it's the best thing we've done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Think obviously you can thank us, but we thank you for allowing yourself to join the gang and help us more to understand as well everything in more detail. Obviously, because like Bid said, we know so much, our journeys, our stories. Yeah, we have been through a lot ourselves, and we're trying to give individuals a platform to share their stories as well. And we've learned from those individuals as well. But to have someone like you on board is a pleasure, and we're grateful. So,
yeah. Yeah.
I just think for me, when you asked me to do the first one, number 4, I said at the time, it's who I am. This is, it's not a career. And I think because I do children and adults, so I float between the two. And I've just given my whole career, really, it's nearly 40 years, would you believe?
Wow.
That I've been trying to support and help, families, let's say. And because you are doing such an amazing job and you're far reaching than I can do, because, yes, I may do the virtual training to, nationally.
Yeah.
But the counselling and the therapy that I do, of course, is here in Stoke-on-Trent, which is, I'm really proud of it. But I think for you guys, when I think where you were at, episode 4, and now where you are at 35, I think, gosh, you're reaching so many, people. And I think I still am, committed to helping people. And if I can do that by, joining you, then it's a win-win for me.
Yeah, it is. Say the journey itself, the podcast journey itself, for me, has been a roller coaster. Because we started with good old Nathan Eny on the 14th of August last year, with probably just, it was one mic, wasn't it? We used one mic.
One mic.
One
mic.
£20 mic, mate. £20 mic off Amazon.
Bargain.
And to an extent, we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah. No.
But it didn't stop us.
No.
It did not stop us. And especially, you know what, I've got to give Bids so much credit, because
I've had to learn quite a lot of things.
Yeah, like you have come a long way. And sometimes I'm there just speaking to Bids and he's sending me this and I'm like, how did you learn this? How did you do that? How are you doing this? How did you do that? And I'm like, I'm just here, like always busy, and I want to help him so much with all these little things that he's doing, like behind the scenes and that. Like, you have taken us so far, and I believe it's just the beginning.
Yeah, we won't stop, mate. We'll not stop. But it has been hard. It's been really hard, because I think with the work that goes on in the background of a podcast, like the editing, all the design work that goes with it, it takes up like a full day. So if like we record in the morning and it's probably finished and edited by 6 o'clock at night for it to go up on that night kind of thing. So it takes up a lot of time, but it's rewarding because the amount of messages that we've had, and it has saved lives. Like there's no bullshit there. It has saved life. We've had messages from people thanking us, saying like the podcast has saved them.
Wow. Can I just ask then, both of you, when, the very, very beginning, when you thought about doing a podcast, what did you think? What was your outcome? What did you think it would look like? And what did you hope to achieve? What was your thoughts?
Should I answer first?
Yeah, go on.
I'll say honestly, yeah, for me to do something, I tend not to think too far ahead, because then I'll put myself off. So how we sort of started it and what did we think of it, or from my side, was me and Bit had a conversation and we basically just said like, oh, your story, my story, wow, like we became really close friends, and we said we should start a podcast, and a podcast just let people share the stories, and people, genuine people who have got the courage to come on and share how low they've been, what pain they've been through, and the reason why they bounce back, to give people out there something that they could potentially relate to. But did I think we were going to get this big in regards of listeners, viewers, and we're basically international now? that we've got people all over the world listening and watching us. I never thought that. I didn't think we were even going to get a lot of listeners or viewers, just because it's such a daunting conversation that you've got to have and listen to as well. But what we said is we've got to try and make it easy to listen to. We've got to try and make it fun. And obviously with bids, like we're both.
You just got to look at him and you laugh.
Yeah,
Crazy.
we're both two different characters where we're both jokers. One swears, one doesn't swear as much. So it's like we've got a good balance. So listeners could, boom, yes, I needed to hear that swear word, and then boom, I needed to hear this, and then boom, I needed to hear this deep conversation, and then Bits just comes out of nowhere and just breaks the deep conversation with like a fact or something fun. So along the journey from day one to where we are now, we've been learning and how do we make it easier for people to listen to, people to engage with us? How are we going to help those listening to come out the place they're in? But we never had a plan, did we? We just said, we've got a purpose, we've got a why, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Literally. See, I didn't really have a vision. I just wanted to do it. So it's something I've always wanted to do. Even though I've got to admit, if it was about 3 or 4 years ago, there was absolutely no way I'd be doing this, because at that point, that was when my mental health was really bad. And you know, when you just switch off, you just like, you socially, I was not interacting at all socially, because I was probably scared of what people were going to think of me. I was scared because I do swear a lot. I was scared I might offend people. But now I don't give a fuck, basically. And it is what it is, because I think we've spoke about language before. Some people like it, some people don't. It's just one of them things.
You make me want to go, ah.
You need to be censored.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but know that the initial journey at the start was quite daunting, because I didn't know much about audio. I didn't know much about how to distribute the podcast out there. And when I jump into things, I want to do really well with them. Like I want them to do well. Like I don't want to just do a podcast and have 1 or 2 listeners here and there. No, I want thousands. I want hundreds and thousands. That was always my aim. But then sometimes that affected me in a negative way, because if I didn't get the viewership I wanted to, I'd be down. But then I started learning and teaching myself, just keep doing what I'm doing. Just keep doing things. I think that's what people need to do in life. If you enjoy doing something, and I didn't want recognition for it, because I was doing it because I enjoyed it. But
you've made a really good point there. I'm just thinking from a learning point of view. You've just said, because that happens a lot. It's a bit like equate to, Facebook in likes. People really struggle if they don't get a lot of likes. So they'll maybe post a photo of themselves or whatever. Yeah. And if they don't get so many likes, they take it really personally. And you've just said a little bit like that. If you don't get a lot of listeners, then, you could take that personally. And you said that I learned to deal with that.
Yeah.
How did you learn to deal with that? What did you do? Because a lot of people are like that, though, aren't they? Take it personally if they don't get a lot of. So what did you do?
It took me quite a few weeks, because say with the podcast and where I had the imagination of where I wanted it to be, with me thinking of where I wanted it to be, I already thought it was there already. But it wasn't. So I kind of brought myself back to reality and thought to myself, this is a brand new podcast. or even if someone's doing something that's brand new to them, like even like Monty's clothing brand, or if someone's come up with a business idea that they've kicked off, like it's brand new. Like I've literally just started this. So for the thought process around it, I was thinking, well, am I enjoying it? Yes, I'm enjoying it. Is that all that matters? And I was thinking, well, yeah, because if I'm not enjoying it, I won't be doing it. So the more I was doing it and enjoying it, the more I was learning new things about audio and visual effects and stuff like that. I was getting kind of a buzz off it because I was being creative with what I was doing. So I was thinking, well, if I like it, that's all that matters. And I think a lot of people like look at things that they're doing and they think I'm going to get judged here. But what really matters is do I like it? Because I love doing a podcast. Like the weekends, like people love going out, partying, whatever. I don't. I'm ready for a podcast every weekend. But it does come with some downfalls, I will say, because we've had some guests on. All the guests have been absolutely amazing. I've had a few turbulent moments after a podcast, after an episode's been recorded. And one of them was with a good pal of mine, Gary Cliff. He was victim of Barry Bennell, the paedophile. He was a football coach, and he went into some like details that I'm not used to hearing, if you know what I mean. But it's a platform to give people like Gary the space to get it out there. But after I spoke to him, I was quite shocked with what I've heard, and I couldn't quite erase it. I couldn't quite focus on what I was doing after. And I remember going home. I didn't even start editing it. I just went bed. So it does come with the downfalls, because there is some really powerful things that get spoken about. I don't know about you, Monty, but do you remember the episode with Connor from Man Made Beard Company?
Yeah.
When he went full board. He went full force into all the details of how he tried to kill himself. And I wasn't expecting that. I don't know if you were. He wasn't.
I wasn't.
No, because even he said, didn't he, after he said it's the first time he've ever shared that.
He obviously felt really comfortable, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like we've had many of those, haven't we, bits where with what we do and how we approach the podcast and the conversations we have before we start recording, it's making them feel welcome and making them feel at ease. We're not here to judge anyone. Me and Bid have both suffered, right, in different ways, but we have both experienced the same feelings and the same pain, in different ways. So we have been down there, and a lot of people have experienced the same thing, but in different ways. So what we do is make them feel comfortable, speak about ourselves, and then let them go. And literally, as we're recording and as we're talking, as we're having a laugh and all sorts, then we get, by the way, this is the first time I'm about to share this. No one else knows. And then boom.
Yeah.
And then
it's insane.
And that's when it gets deep. And obviously, also, like, we have to stay composed, and because we can't then get emotional, and we got to just try to stay composed, all ears, understanding. And then Bid's amazing at this, because like I said, he just breaks everything with a weird fact, which then we allow ourselves to then sort of like shape what we've just heard, shape what we've just spoke about, and then go back to it and approach it in a different way, because now we know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because we don't, the way we do the podcast is not putting people on a back foot by all of a sudden question after question after question after question, and then they feel like they're doing an interview. It's just, we don't know who you are. You don't know who we are. Let's get to know each other. Boom.
And that's absolutely how you're getting the best out of people, isn't it? But if you think about from a mental health point of view, because that's what this is all about, and it's that, because obviously mental health is being able to cope with change, resilience, and difficult times. It's when it turns poor that we start to struggle. So thinking about the listeners' then point of view, what does that mean for them then? Because if you think about, you're really struggling with the things you hear, which is right, because you will do, won't you? Because somebody's telling you really difficult things, and just, and me who's heard these things, well, I hear them every day, of course I do, for years.
Yeah.
I have to learn to manage that, and it's tough still. I'd have got out years ago if I become desensitized to it, but it's another thing for somebody who may be listening, has heard it for the first time. So how do you manage that? What have you been doing to manage that?
I think when we first started, I think the first, let me have a look. Bloody hell. I think it's the first first 17 episodes. We only put the guest name. And then I had a couple of messages and emails off people saying, I really struggled with this episode because you spoke about this. So from there, I've put like little captions in the title now, what we're discussing. So like, for example, last week we spoke with Chris from Australia, and the captions were chronic fatigue, losing a close friend, Aussie rules, and marathon running. So you've got like snippets of the topics that we've spoke about. Because it's happened to me. I've listened to a few podcasts in the past, and there's not really been much information within the title, because a lot of people don't click on the description. They just hit play straight away. They look at the title and it plays straight away. And there's been a few times where I've been listening to a podcast and I'm thinking, shit, this is going to trigger me. Like what they're talking about, like bang.
That's what I was going to say. It's the triggers, isn't it? I was thinking about,
Yeah. So, and it has helped because I've had no messages since I've started doing them little topic snippets in the title. I've had like no issues with it. I've found that's helped a lot, because you can just instantly look at the title, and if something's in there that is a trigger to you, then you don't have to listen to it.
Absolutely.
I think it all, and also that comes with what we spoke about at the start. It's about not knowing and growing during the process. So picking those little things up makes it then easier for the listeners, makes it easier for us, makes it easier for everyone.
Yeah.
Where you can, before it was just the names. And obviously anyone, if you see a well-known footballer like at the start, or Nathan Heaney, for example, you saw his name, boxer, then you click on it. I want to hear about his story, but then you don't know what was spoken about until you're there, deep inside it.
Yeah.
And, wow, I didn't want to hear this. But as we went along, obviously, like Bid just said, started putting little titles. So then as a reader or as a listener, you can then choose, nah, this is not for me. I can't do it.
And that's really important, isn't it? Because like I say, that's why I'm asking this, is because what you're doing is amazing, because it is so important that people hear that, oh, I'm not the only one who's going through this, somebody else does. And when it is people like, him, who they think, oh gosh, even celebrities, or footballers get poor mental health. So it is important that people do know that it's not just them, because I know in my practice, when people, you know, come to me, they think they are the only ones who are going through that. And one of the first things I have to do is let them realize that, no, actually it isn't. So it is important that, you know, they get that and hear people's stories. But there is that other side that it can trigger, can't it, a lot. So, you know, it is important that they are aware of what the sensitive nature of the topic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. We have had a couple of footballers on, haven't we? We've had Leon Legg and we had David Cottrell on. It's the David Cottrell one was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think I've listened to that one. I need
That
maybe
one is
listen to that
amazing.
one.
Yeah, he's ex Premier League and Welsh international. Because it's interesting because when I found out when you got him on, Monty,
Yeah.
when I found out who it was and he was a Welsh international, the first thing that sprung to my mind was Gary Speed.
Yeah.
Because obviously he killed himself through suicide. I was thinking, surely that's going to be a big trigger for him. That's why I asked him about it. So I was a bit iffy about asking him about it at first, but sometimes you just got to ask these things, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not comfortable, they will tell you. People will tell you.
That's part of the problem, though, you know, into that people don't ask, they don't say because they're afraid.
Yeah.
And again, it's all around why there's a big stigma attached to it.
Yeah.
Is because people think, oh no, you know, I can't talk about that. So yeah, it's best to just ask, and it's on the person to say, you know, I don't want to talk about that. But you're doing exactly that, getting the word out there, aren't you?
Well, our job, and not our job, it's not really our job, but our passion and our purpose is more to try and minimize and make people feel more at ease to talk about their problems. Because obviously breaking that stigma is, we want to, but we've got a hell of a job in our hands. But as long as we try and minimize that and make it more comfortable, more of a comfortable subject, we're doing all right. And that's why we ask all the things we ask. And that's why we gonna get all these answers out, all these individuals who are comfortable talking about uncomfortable things. And for the listeners to listen to uncomfortable conversations, so then they realize that these conversations is okay to have. All these things are okay to talk about, because they could be at home thinking, I'm going through this, but I don't want to talk about it because I might be seem like I'm stupid or I'm weak or it's nothing big. But like we've discussed before, and we've said it many times, that no matter small, big, but if something that's so small to one of us could be big to someone else.
Yeah.
Don't just think like what we're thinking about, what we might say. Just think about what you're going through and just speak it out. Yes, you might get someone that might not want to speak to you, but then also with the way we're doing it is try and feel comfortable with talking about things that you're not comfortable with talking. And for those listening, just try and be kind. And if someone comes over to you, just listen.
Yeah.
Don't just tell them even more. So we don't just say speak. We also say listen.
And I think it's really important, isn't it? Because I always say, you know, when I'm training particularly, that I think the word or the phrase, hi, you okay, is nowadays become just a hello. I think if you ask somebody, are you okay, it's making sure you actually have or make the time to stand and listen if somebody comes back to you with that, well, no, I'm not actually. Because I think people will say, hi, okay, and then they walk off.
Yeah.
You know, but somebody might say, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you've walked off. Because again, it's a bit like hello. It's really important, isn't it, if you're asking that, to be prepared for the answer, because people tend to say, don't they, they've asked me, I'm starting to say how I'm feeling, and I can see somebody's thinking, oh God, I wish I'd never asked that.
Yeah.
But it's important, isn't it, that we listen to people, because
That's what
we're
I'm
not
saying.
good at that at all.
Some people just ask how you are just so they can come across, yes, I'm polite. And as soon as you start opening your mouth, sorry, I'm running late, I've got to
Yeah.
go.
And or they back it like a couple of steps away, and you can see you looking at him. You're telling them, "You've asked me, I'm not okay," and they're backing away from you and think, "Fool." You know,
Just have grab him. Just have grab him. Just
yeah.
have grab him like, I'm not okay.
I'm not okay. You will listen to me. But I think that what we're doing now, that humour, I mean, you know, Monty's already said it about you, but it's that bit, isn't it, that we mustn't also be ashamed or embarrassed that we laugh. I think, you know, I've worked in, you know, child protection, but adult protection too, but, you know, most of my career. And I have coped with that because of my sense of humour, or in, you know, poor mental health and now, you know, trauma.
Yeah.
And I've coped with that because of my sense of humour. It doesn't mean I'm laughing at it, but it gets us through, doesn't it? And I think, again, we mustn't worry about laughing too, because it does get us through, don't it? And that humour gets us through an awful lot.
I'll definitely say my sense of humour is just so dark. Like but I don't mean to offend people with it. But if you get offended, so what?
Yeah.
So just laugh. Let's just laugh. It's like it's like the episode with Scott Shearer when I dropped the chimpanzee fact on you.
Oh, tell me about. Oh, what did you do, Dan?
You want to know the chimpanzee fact?
Yeah.
We can repeat.
Tell
it.
me.
We can.
I don't think you're gonna enjoy it, but
Is it going to make me want to go like ah?
Yeah.
That emoji where you go ah.
Yeah.
You'll probably lose connection.
Monty, does he need to retaliate or not?
Yeah.
Hey, like we've just said, it's about you. So do you want to listen to it?
Oh, maybe not.
Ding 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 diddle ding diddle ding diddle ding boom.
Basically, it's about an angry chimpanzee that chomps on something.
No, I've decided. I've made a decisive decision.
There
Maybe
you go.
not.
And look, prime example to those viewers, listeners. Look, if it's not for you,
Don't do it.
Yourself.
Don't do it. And I've made the decision.
Yeah.
I could have felt really uncomfortable then. I may have felt pressurized that because I'd started the conversation, I'd got to say, "Oh yeah, Dan, tell me." But I've decided no.
Peer pressure.
Move on.
Peer pressure.
I've made the decision. No.
Okay. Well, that's fine. But if anyone of the listeners wants to listen to that fact, Scott Shearer, the episode with Scott Shearer, it's on there.
Yeah, they'll lift that up. That's all right.
I got a lot of messages after asking me if it's true. So I sent the people that asked the link.
Basically, episode number 25.
Yeah. Episode 25 is where it goes down with Big Angry Dave. We called him Dave, didn't we? Dave the Chimp. Dave. Yeah, I love how we're still talking about it.
I know, see, and I said no. Karina has made the decision. No. Enough now. Let's move on. Talk about another episode, not that. What episode, Monty, was it? Remind us.
25.
25. Move on now. Another episode. What other episode? A nice one, though.
To be fair,
what puts me under pressure.
We have had some decent facts on board, haven't we? The car park one, remember that one, Monty?
Car park one, yeah.
Car parking ticket. I can't even remember now how much it was.
I can't remember how much it was, but it was ridiculous. Was it Hong Kong or something like that?
It was about, I think it's about £100,000, wasn't it, for a parking ticket? Yeah.
£100,000?
Yeah, in Japan.
It was Japan, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. All day park up for £100,000.
Just ridiculous.
Wow. And I thought £5 all day in Wales was a lot of money.
I know, right?
Wow, that's cheap.
I thought £5.20 for an hour in Edinburgh.
Wow. Wales, I'm ever so sorry, but your £5 all day is a bargain. I'm sorry I was moaning about it.
Yeah, I'll take that one back.
Yeah.
Hey, get on this then. So, talking about parking tickets,
Got one, haven't
I've gone to get the parking, obviously the ticket, and I've seen £5.20 an hour. I said, no chance. I had to be cheeky, and I thought, you know, I'm just gonna drive around and find somewhere else. That's not. You don't need to pay this. Parked, went back to my car, and I had a ticket.
you?
I thought I should have paid the £5.20 instead. There.
That would have been a lot cheaper.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes we've got to go through things to learn. No, just do it. Just pay the £5.20 and get on with your time normal. Me, I went parked so far away, walked, and I came back to a ticket.
To be fair, mate, you can get an app called Park. You get an app on your phone, and it tells you all the best places you can park and all the cheap places.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what I did when I went to Edinburgh.
There you go. So I'm gonna get that when we move up there.
Yes, mate. Big time.
There you go.
I'll tell you what, we can discuss the language that we use. Because there were, what was it now? Episode 24 with Chris Johnson from Canada. I think we were discussing, well, he's got bipolar, so we obviously discussed that. And then we mentioned about suicide. And I worded it as someone committed suicide. And he corrected me, didn't you remember?
Yeah.
He corrected me and said we don't use committed suicide over here. It's died by suicide. And then it got me thinking that, yeah, it's true, because if you commit something, it's a crime, right?
Mm.
So it's not a crime. He hasn't committed a crime. They've killed themselves. And I think I found it awkward saying, oh, we've killed himself, died by suicide. I found it quite heartless, but it's true. It's right. And now I find the phrase committed suicide heartless.
I think it's because we're learning a lot now, aren't we? And terminology, because that's what it is about, is really, really important, because it means so much to different people. And I think that committed suicide is a negative term, isn't it? And I know doesn't take away, of course it doesn't take away that, you know, that somebody's, you know, killed themselves, but committed suicide is very negative, so it infers that somebody is, you know, it's that negative to themselves, and yes, they've harmed themselves, they've killed themselves, but it takes away all that emotion around it and all that pain around it and the suffering around it that went on before they actually killed themselves. So I think that's what it is around, you know, the importance of getting it right, really. Yeah. So I think we've, in all these years, you know, the past few years, everybody's worked really hard on the right terminology for things, because they don't, you know, we have to think about it because it impacts on people. That's why, you know, when we talk about survivors, don't we? Some people and victims, some people will like to be called a victim, some people will prefer to be called a survivor. Yeah. And it's up to that person what they like to be called, and why we say, you know, domestic abuse, not necessarily domestic violence, because, you know, we stop people coming forward if we only say domestic violence, because it's not just violence in relationships. So just those type of things. So yeah, it is important that we get it right.
There has been so much domestic violence this past year. I know, because we set up Women's Unite a few months, I can't remember, a few months ago, I think it was. We were thinking about setting it up a year or so ago, but with Men Unite kicking off as it did and being so busy, we just kind of lost track of it. But once we set it up, the amount of women that are hiding the depression and anxiety shocked me. It really shocked me, because I always thought, you know, women always talk. You know, you see women talking with each other. It's very expressive. and very emotional, and like with men, it's like, oh mate, you're right, yeah. That's it. But it really shocked me when it kicked off, the amount of women just in Stoke-on-Trent and Staffordshire struggling. It's insane. Because I didn't expect it at all.
I wouldn't expect that either, to be fair. Obviously, not saying that women will be the ones that will cry out for help easily.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected that they would probably, or some of them, struggle as much as we do when it's about speaking what is going in your mind. I wouldn't have expected that. But then it goes to show again with what we do. We will picture something and then we think that's it. So men are the only ones that struggle to speak out, but it goes to show that everyone struggles, and whatever reason, something stops us from communicating and being and letting our emotions be seen and our pain to be seen and or be heard. For whatever reason, we stop ourselves from getting the help that we need.
Absolutely. And I think, like with women, you know, people do tend to think, oh, you know, we tell our friends everything. And yeah, we do communicate better. But when it comes to things like, you know, just like we've just been talking about, domestic abuse, there's still a lot of stigma around that. There is a lot of guilt and shame that you won't talk. There shouldn't be, but there is. And, you know, when we look at domestic abuse relationships, males and females are victims of, but there's usually around that is the grooming around it, or the gaslighting that makes you not realize that you are in that type of relationship. So that type of grooming makes you feel that it's your fault. So you're not gonna say to somebody, because they make you feel as if it's your fault. So you're not gonna say to your mate, are you, that, you know, she hits me or he hits me, because obviously same-sex relationships. So it works the same way where men struggle to talk openly about it. Women will exactly the same.
Do you think men would struggle more opening up about being in a domestic abuse relationship?
Absolutely.
with them being a man?
Yeah, because again, it's this terrible stigma about, you know, men should be the strong one. You know, men would say, why on earth have you let her hit you? You know, that type of thing, which is wrong, because the domestic abuse relationships are about grooming that person. Well, any abusive relationship or any abuse, it's about grooming that person to allow them, that perpetrator, to do something to them. So it can be males, females, and children, obviously. But yeah, they won't speak out. But society reacts different too, because, you know, talk to society, they'd say that it was only women who are abused. Well, that's not true. Predominantly women, yes, but males are abused just the same. But they've done that experiment, haven't they, where outside, you know, you've got a male abusing a female, you know, verbally, then physically, and people flock and try to help it. They've switched the roles round where the female's doing it to the male, and nobody takes any notice of it at all. Again, society don't look at it like that, and look at it very differently. So, you know, we don't allow males to come forward and say, it's wrong, I am being abused.
Yeah, it's almost like people were looking at the male being abused by the females, if to think, what has he done now, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I would say, like, that experiment that was done, if the man would have responded in a way where he pushed her, for example, I'm not saying he's allowed to do such a thing, but if he would have, like, shaken her a bit in front of the public, people would have jumped in and defended the female without asking any questions, without anything. And like you say, society has just put males in this weird bracket that we can't be weak. We can't speak. We can't show any emotions. We're not allowed to be abused, because when we do, and all of a sudden, no one's gonna believe us.
Absolutely.
There's a stigma like around surrounding males, and what the society has created is just sad, if I'm honest. And that's what we've got to carry on and making it known by sharing all these experiences that men and female go through. That actually, if you sit down and go through each episode and listen to every story, a lot of the stories are similar.
Yeah.
Like just coming one from a female, which goes to show that we are still, end of the day, no matter, because we're just different sex, we can't feel the same pain. We can't be vulnerable. We can't feel emotionally drained, or we can't get abused, or we can't speak out. Like, we're human beings, end of the day.
Absolutely. We may respond in different ways, but I think we've had this conversation before, haven't we, Dan? You know, but if you look at core root of poor mental health, is there's a real commonality between males and females. Again, may respond in different ways to that.
Yeah.
But as a general, yes, you know, we are all at risk of poor mental health. We are all at risk of being, you know, groomed or abused. Absolutely. Of course we are.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's important that people know that, don't they? Because that's all part of it. Because one of the things is, when, again, what we've talked about, you know, about half an hour ago, is the fact that people don't think that it happens to other people. They think it's just them. And that's what stops them from coming forward or speaking out. Yeah. It's really important that everybody knows it can be anybody.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, for anybody from, you know, any sex, any gender, whatever people want to call it, you know, or from, you know, people who are celebrities, people who earn, you know, £1 million a year, to those who don't. So it can be anybody. It's important that we all know that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like you said, any sex, any gender, whatever you like to call yourself.
You have to be careful with genders nowadays, mate.
Do.
What do you mean?
That's why we've just said whatever you want to identify yourself as.
No, that's what I'm saying. Whatever you want to identify.
You might piss a lot of people off if you say we only want 2 genders around there. Oh, I've just said it. Oh no.
Yeah, no.
Oh dear.
I've always said it. My cousin is gay, so like I've got love for everyone. We're all humans anyway, but we all suffer.
Yeah,
one way or another.
Absolutely.
And then another big episode for me was episode 27 with para-Olympian Ian Marsden. That guy came with so much juice, it was unbelievable. The amount of passion and anger he had in that episode, I was absolutely buzzing for ages.
Do you think that what made him a para-Olympian? I had to say that slowly.
Yeah.
That drive and that anger and that passion.
Possibly, because there was a big part in the episode where he spoke about people parking in disabled bays when they weren't disabled. Remember? Yeah. And I said to him that I was going create a parking bounty hunting business where I'd potentially go around car parks, and if they weren't disabled in the parking bay, then I'd have to slash the tires. But I thought maybe there might be a bit of a better way of doing it without slashing the tires.
Maybe. Did he appreciate, though? Because you know that bit that you don't have to be visually disabled to be disabled. Did he talk about that too?
Yeah.
Because that's really important, isn't it? Because so many people, because we've had on our car, I'll never forget it with my mom, but a note put on because Peter, my mum was, obviously when she was alive, bless her, was she was staying at the shop and we parked the car with obviously my mum's bag. Peter had taken the shopping back and then we were going to get in and go pick her up. And we ended up with a really nasty note on saying, you clearly are not disabled. But the badge was for me mum. But little did they realise, Pete's actually got COPD.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, people will make such judgments, won't they? And again, lots of people with disabilities do not need, the badge was for me mum. But I think, make such a judgment, don't they?
Yeah.
That because they think disability is just in a wheelchair, let's face it.
Yeah.
But can be so cruel and judgmental.
Well, he said in that episode, he's punched a few people. Like, he's had a few people knocking on the door and calling him all kinds of horrible stuff. And he's got out the car and he's done them in. And absolutely good on him.
Did he use that phrase, done them in?
No, I don't think he did, but that's my phrasing. He's got out and he's done them in.
Done them in. That's proper Stokey. Done them in.
Done them in, yeah.
Done him in. Done him in.
But no, he was an amazing guy. And he's in the Olympics. It's coming up, man. It's coming up. I need to get some information because I need to watch him. Hopefully I can bring home the gold for Team GB.
And you label say, I've interviewed him or I've spoken to him.
Yes, definitely.
You know what's funny, Bibs?
Claim to fame.
I go around everywhere I go now and I park. And if I'm near parking spaces for people who are disabled, I look on the windscreen.
Yeah. Honestly, I do. Yeah.
They've got a badge.
Yeah, I had a word with someone the other day outside the petrol station. I'd parked up to go in, and there was a young guy. I'm going to call him a chav. Young chav in his car, parks up in the disabled bay, struts out like his big hard geezer. No disabled badge there. Saying he's in the queue and I'm behind him. I gave him a tap on the shoulder. So you got a badge in your car, mate? He's like, what do you mean? He's like, parked in disabled bay. He's like, no, I've not got a badge. Do I need one? He's like, yeah, you do, mate. He's like, oh, apologise. Says, well, next time you better fucking move your car. Absolute idiot, mate. And it happened. And I'd do the same.
Is that the truth?
That's the truth. BP Garage and Talk. There you go.
Name them.
I think like with Karina, with what you said as well earlier, I think it was before we started recording about, or was it as soon as we started, about what we've learned from our guests. Things like this, we became more understanding of every situation.
Yeah.
Because we've had guests from all different walks of life.
Yeah.
And what they do, what they've struggled with, what sort of like irritates them because of their own problems that they have. So we've taken all those things on board. So now when we go out and do these things, we actually then act as if we're that individual as well. So like someone could be coming here who's disabled, he's not going to be able to park there. So why are you parking there? We became more understanding because I've learned so much, really. Because we only.
I think if you have, listeners have though, haven't they?
Yeah, 100%.
Learn so much, become more understanding. That's what we're trying to do. We don't just do this just for the listeners and for the viewers. We also take things on board because we're doing this podcast. We're genuine individuals that we take everything on board. It's not just we've done one, okay, next one, let's go. No, sometimes me and Biz, we just sit back after everything stopped recording and we actually talk about it. And we say what we think and wow, like that's amazing, or wow, like the way he's bounced back, wow, we can't believe people actually do this to this individual. We can't believe they get treated like that. But we take all these things on board and we learn from it. How do we become then better individuals? How do we become better human beings? How do we then become better individuals to then actually help our kids as well understand what life is about?
Yeah, it's definitely helped me in
That's
that way.
fab.
Definitely helped me in that way.
So when you think about future then, so that's the learning from the past, how many, 30 odd, did you say, 35 podcasts? I mean, that's been really successful, because again, the reason I asked you that, because it is important that, again, like Dan, you were saying, you get a lot out of it, you enjoy them. So you two have got out of the podcast over these 35 times, which your listeners will, because that's, again, you do it for them too. When you think about future, the next podcast that you're going to do, what do you want for that from them? What are you thinking from now? Because this is a little bit of a review.
I know, right? Business review.
What do you see the future for it being? Obviously, me on board more.
Well, that's it. Yeah. I don't know. You know, it's one of them things, because I'm the kind of person that I live for the hour. If you know what I mean. I don't look too far in the future anymore, because I find myself, like, my headspace just goes completely bonkers if I start looking further in the future. But like I said before, like, I'm enjoying what I'm doing now, and we're learning more. Also, the more we learn, the more we grow.
Yeah.
And I think from the first episode, we've grown so much. So I don't really know where I want to go in the future. Obviously, I just want it to keep growing, getting bigger, and getting the audience, interacting with the audience more. Don't know, Monty, what you think, bro?
I think the same as you, bro.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we get on so well.
Yeah.
And that's why we have been delivering the episodes that we deliver.
Yeah.
Because the only pressure that we put on ourselves is to make sure we do an episode every week.
Yeah, but that's something we need, just, rein in a bit.
Yeah.
Definitely, because I'm saying, yeah, I enjoy doing the episodes, and I love getting all the content out to the listeners. But we've got to think about ourselves, So maybe a break, even if it's a week break there, a week break there. I'm thinking a month break, mate, in August. I am. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for a podcast holiday, mate. I'm ready.
We can do one we can do the next podcast. It will be you on holiday and me in Scotland, mate.
Yeah.
Poddy holiday.
There you go.
It's a good idea. Podcast on tour. Do live shows. Do live shows and get, like, the audience on. 5 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago. Get them on stage.
On stage, you're getting carried away now.
There you go. See, that's what happens when I start thinking about the future.
There you go.
Goes. So that's why,
when,
hour by hour.
Yeah.
What's happening next hour?
That's when you get not carried away. Obviously, there's good things having a plan, having a vision, having a goal, having a target, and things like that. But with certain things, you just got to go with the flow. You have your structure, which is what we have already, and stick by it.
Yeah.
And along the way, we grow. Because if you start putting all this, which is what a lot of people do, you start putting all this target, which is good, but then when they're not getting near it, that's when it starts affecting you. You start panicking, get anxious, start struggling. You feel like you're failing. So what we have and what keeps us going is the purpose that we have and the reason why we're doing it. And that's why we are doing this so smoothly. We get on so well. We have a laugh along the way. There's no pressure in anything. Yes, we have a goal, but that goal is basically our purpose. As long as we still have that purpose and the drive and the why, we'll continue to do it and we'll continue to grow.
And do you think that's what is the part of the success is, and obviously we're talking about, you know, poor mental health and mental health that makes you two cope with the pressure of the podcast, is because you don't put too much pressure on yourselves.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what the success is?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think the first time we started, I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, and that's when I just reined everything in, gathered my thoughts, and I started enjoying it more.
Yeah.
It's like anything we do in life, you've got to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, stop doing it.
Yeah. And if you don't enjoy it, you start struggling. Like we said, like it becomes like a battle of scenarios in your head
Yeah.
that you can't control. And it becomes, you create this different world that you're not even in control of anymore.
Nope.
Then it becomes something that's slowly killing you mentally. Then you become not lazy, but you become like the point I'm trying to make basically, once you put yourself in so much pressure, you feel like you can't reach, or you're not getting anywhere near that target.
Yeah.
You become feeling like a failure.
Yeah.
Once you start believing that you're not going to achieve that target, and you start feeling like you're a failure, that's when you start having problems with yourself.
Yeah.
And we have not allowed that to happen to us, and we don't want our listeners and viewers to also, whatever you're doing in your life, just don't put too much pressure on yourself. Day to day, enjoy yourself, be in the present. And whatever you choose to do, whether it's business, whatever you want to do, make sure it's something that you enjoy. And make sure if you're doing it, just do it because you have a purpose. And you know what your purpose is. Because once you've got purpose, you'll probably reach more than what you ever expected. That's what I think.
And I think you made a good point earlier, because everything you're saying is absolutely right. You made a good point earlier when you said you've got to have structure. Well, you said a plan. You've got to have a plan. You've got to have structure. But then, obviously, what your purpose is the main thing. But don't put yourself under too much pressure. Because I think that's where, when we look at males and females, where sometimes they can clash, because predominantly males will knee-jerk and go with the flow.
Yeah, that's me.
Females tend to plan, and we need to be able to look to the future. And that comes from, naturally, the males are, you know, the hunters.
Yeah.
People are going to kill me for saying this. All hunters. The females will the nurturers with the children.
Yeah.
I don't like saying, I'm going to get criticised for maybe saying this, but you know, this is what it is, how it's evolved though. But what happens is, so we have to be able to look to future. We have to look wider. We have to foresee. We have to plan. We have to predict, because of usually the children. So I think that's where it can be very different. But we have to find a common ground, a middle, because you're absolutely right. Because that's where we females, well, you know, will struggle, because we put ourselves under too much pressure, and then we think we've failed. So it's the meeting halfway. Because again, you're right. You said, you know, a plan, structure, but with not too much pressure. And I think that's the ideal, really, because that's where we all fall down, no matter who you are. When you give yourself too many targets, they're not achievable, and then you start to feel as if I'm not achieving, I'm failing here, and then whoop, you're down in the slippery slope.
Yeah, and we've all been there in that slope. It's not a nice place to be.
No, it isn't.
Not a nice place to be. But we all for the past few episodes we've been ending on a motivational video for the YouTube listeners. But the audio guys, we love you. We do. You can still hear it as well. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. So, on that note, it has been a pleasure. And I can't wait to have you back on.
Thank you. I can't wait too.
Because it's going to be a regular thing. We're going to come on. We're going to talk about what we spoke about.
So?
I mean, we couldn't have spoken about all 34 episodes today because we've just got not enough time. Not enough time. And remember, always remember, when you go in the zoo, make sure you share with a chimpanzee, okay?
Yes, we said no.
Yeah.
I made the decision no, and you had to bring it round again.
You know what Karina's going to do? As soon as she finishes, she's going to go straight to episode 25.
I am actually. I made a note. But I'm okay doing that because won't feel pressurized then, will I, when I'm in control of looking at it when I feel okay, not when you two are talking about it.
Yeah.
Then I would have to go like
You listen to it when you are ready.
When I'm ready and I think I can cope with it.
Absolute banger of a fact. You'll never look at chimpanzees in the way that you do again.
Oh, no, I can't look at it now. You're putting me off even more.
I think you'll love it more.
Well, I can't watch it. Did you know, on a fun fact, did you know chimpanzees shake hands?
Yes.
And they do. I find it fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, not after you listen to that fact later on.
He's going to put me off, isn't he? I'm not going to watch it.
No, just
Definitely
leave it.
not.
Just leave it. Should be fine. It is actually on. It is actually on our TikTok account. I clipped it and went on TikTok and put the video on there. Yeah.
Blimey. Do you know, all the listeners are going to be watching it now because they'll be so interested, like thinking, curious, what's that about?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a little fun fact.
Fun fact.
Fun facts. What are my fun facts?
One.
One fun fact.
You just shared one as well. You just shared one. They shake hands.
Yeah.
That was a fun fact I shared.
That was a fun fact.
I think so.
I think you should.
Next time I'm on, I'll share another fun fact.
Yeah, I think you should bring a fun fact every time you're on.
Yeah, I do.
What about chimpanzees?
No, not necessarily about chimpanzees. About anything.
Oh my God, chimpanzees.
Starting a bit of a trend now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Don't get a chimpanzee trending. Angry chimp trending.
Angry chimp. Yes. But no, it's been amazing. Good chat. And to be fair, I can't wait for what the future holds. Who knows what the future holds?
Who knows?
Who knows? But
a little bit funny.
But Monty, enjoy the rest of your day. I know you've got a lot of things to be getting on with, but try and have a bit of chill time.
Will do, man.
Try and have a bit of chill time. A lot of stress under your belt at the moment, my friend.
Indeed.
But you are coping with it like a trooper.
Absolutely.
Trooper duper. So, Karina, we will end on this video. You'll be able to see it. So will the YouTube viewers. Don't worry. It's nothing to do with chimpanzees. It's a pick-me-up motivational video from Ben Lionel Scott. He puts them together. So don't worry about it. There's no chimps involved.
Okay, thank goodness. And are we allowed wave? Because that's the big thing now. One is you're on mute, which I made sure that I wasn't on mute. I didn't want you saying to me, you're on mute, Karina, because that's what everybody says now. And also the other thing is people are criticising, because people are waving and saying, well, you don't wave when you leave a meeting. I'm thinking, well, I wave when I go out of the meeting, so I can still do it on Zoom.
You can wave if you like. That's perfectly fine.
And 2 hands wave, in fact.
Yeah, 2 hands wave.
Absolutely. Jazz hands.
Yes. But we appreciate your time.
Welcome.
We love what you're doing.
Okay.
And
thank you. Keep up the good work, guys, too.
Yes, we will. As per usual, we keep on rolling. And we want to thank everyone that's watched, listened. Hopefully you get inspired.
And if they've got any ideas for us?
Yes, get in touch. Dan@menunite.org. That's the email. Drop it in.
Yeah.
So here is a bit of inspiration. Enjoy.
that you need to be on the lookout for. And this one is a liar. This one is a saboteur. This one is a backbiter. This is the instinct that says, you've had enough. You've given it your best shot. You can stand down. You can back off. You can rest now. Do not listen to that instinct. Do not listen. And that is the instinct you need to fight. You need to push back, to smash into the ground. Train that instinct. Train it to say, get up, go, fight on.
You don't punish yourself, it's never gonna happen. You don't punish yourself. Somebody said, E, you losing weight. I punish myself. I don't eat meat no more. That's a punishment. I had to give something up to go up. What do you give up? Do you not watch TV? That's your problem. You getting to watch TV and not make money and still survive. The reason why you broke is because you getting a reward and you ain't working.
You gotta stop playing. Most of you, what happens is when everything is favorable, you a beast. But when the conditions ain't right, you get smacked in the face. You gotta grow up. You gotta be a morning person, afternoon person, night person. You gotta be when you feel good person, when you sick person, when you tired person.
And you don't get here by quitting when you tired. You get here by quitting when you finish, when you done. You don't stop when you tired. You stop when you done. You stop when you complete it, when you execute it. Execution is worship. Greatness is in you. But the problem is somebody's got to push you. The problem is somebody's got to give you a reward. Somebody's got a project. The problem is you're not self-motivated. You have to stay in beast mode. And so I'm looking at the clock and I'm saying, technically, you can go back to sleep. Technically. But Eric Thomas, if you go back to sleep, you might not wake up to 3:30. You might not wake up to 4 o'clock. And if you wake up at 4 o'clock, Eric, for 30 minutes of sleep, you might be pushing your goals back a week. You might be pushing your goals back a month. You might be pushing your goals back an entire year by sleeping for 2 hours because you missed an opportunity.
What do you do when somebody's not there watching you? What do you do when you have to either do what it is you know you're supposed to do, or you get to take the play off because no one's going to know the difference? Because it's really easy for anybody to come to work on the days they feel like killing it and killing it. But what happens on the days that you don't feel like killing it? What happens on the days that you don't feel like getting out of bed? Because those are the days that are going to define where you end up in your life.